My nephew Seth is 5 and loves the shark game. The rules can never change. First, I have to pretend not to notice while he buttons his face good and tight into the cuff of my empty left sleeve. "Okay, Uncle David," he says in a tiny muffled voice. That's my cue. I start chanting like in that scene from Jaws where the shark's about to drag down the doomed swimmers, and then I shake the sleeve a little. Seth squeals and wiggles. I da-dum, 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 louder and faster, jerking the sleeve like I've got a fish on the line, but he hangs on, squeezing that cuff onto his face with both hands and dancing around like crazy. And just when he can't take it another minute, I pinch his nose with my right hand and yell, "Shark!" Seth shrieks, pops free of the cuff, scrabbles back, dives behind the couch, and jumps up again fast, hollering, "Tell me the story, tell me the story." I pretend I don't hear him. I pick up a magazine, sit down on the couch. "Please?" He bumps his belly against my knees. "Please?" I sigh, toss the magazine aside. "Yay!" He yells and flops down beside me. I hunch over, eyes narrowed, voice lowered to a pirate's growl. I tell him about how I'm in Hawaii, see? Off the Kona coast, paddling my surfboard, and the waves are tall as a building, 50 feet high. But I'm waiting for the big one, the 100-footer, and here it is, blotting out the sun, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere comes this huge, huge tiger shark, and blam, snap, bites my arm off. Seth's eyes get big, and he fingers the loose flannel of my sleeve. And then what, Uncle Dave? This is what he's been waiting for. I tell him I don't even know my arm's gone until I see all this blood in the water, like someone dumped a gallon of ketchup, and then I see the shark taking off with the whole thing in his teeth. And here I lower my voice to a whisper. The shark's hauling my arm away, and the fingers of my hand are flapping in the air, just like they're waving goodbye. Seth wiggles his fingers in front of his face. "Like this," he says? "Bye-bye?" "Yep," I say. "Aloha. Sayonara. Later, alligator." I've never surfed in my life. But the kid loves this story, especially the part about the blood in the water. I have a bunch of other stories I tell about how I lost my arm. I'm the hero in all of them. None of them are true. Seth's mother, my sister Natalie, listens to us and rolls her eyes. Nat thinks the shark game is creepy, and of course she knows I made up the story. But Seth and I have been playing it ever since he could talk, which was shortly after I moved in 3 years ago, so Nat wouldn't be alone after Seth's dad left. It was supposed to be temporary, but I help out with the rent and watch Seth when she needs it, and it's been a good arrangement for us. Except now that she's gotten on full-time teaching junior high math and started dating again, she's been hinting that maybe it's time for me to get my own place. Nat's got her ironing board out and she's pressing my good blue shirt. She leans the iron into the crease of the sleeve and steam hisses. She lifts the shirt, shakes it out. "Wearing the arm tonight," she says. "Yes, I am. I don't usually, but I haven't had a date in nearly a year. The woman's name is Lauren, and we met online, and tonight I am hoping to be just another guy, at least for a few hours. My first try at internet dating about a year ago did not go well. I thought I'd try a light approach. 'Nice one-armed gent desires lady,' I wrote. 'Must be good with buttons, shoelaces.' I thought it was funny, but the dozens of fetishists and out-and-out weirdos who wanted to meet me, a little frightening, and most of them were men. I took my profile down in a hurry. It was only a month ago that Natalie talked me into trying again. This time I just put down the basics, except for the arm. There were only a few responses, but Lauren, the Divorce City planter, seemed to be okay with David, the average-height biochemist who had been a Giants fan since he was a kid. Natalie settles the shirt over the back of a chair. "Here you go," she says. "Good luck." She'd like her spare room back, I know. Lauren. It's a nice name. Sort of like a tree. Seth follows me to my room. He's the only one I let see me when I strap my fake arm onto the sheared-off place where the real one used to be. The silicone cap of the thing flexes and clings to the lumpy slope of my shoulder like a suction foot of an octopus. Oh, it's beautifully made. The skin, the molded hand, even the fingernails would fool you at first glance. But they're just for show. They don't do anything. I ask Seth to help me put my shirt on, and he holds it by the collar and guides it gently over my perfect, motionless limb, as if I could feel it. Early evening. I'm meeting Lauren at a cafe that's never very crowded. I recognize her from her photo the minute I walk in the door. She's at a table by the window, and when she sees me, she waves and beckons. She's smiling and slender with nice breasts and straight, dark blonde hair. The white shirt she's wearing is silky and scoop-necked and glows in the fading daylight. Now, I know a little about her. Briefly married, no children. I've never been married, never even close. We are both 38. As I walk toward her, eyes brighten, and that smile gets wider. I bend to kiss her where the small lines curve beside her mouth. Well, why not? We've been chatting online for weeks. And sit opposite her. She scans me the way women do, but there's no hesitation at the arm, no subtle change in the face. An elderly couple is seated at the table next to ours. They ask for hot tea to be served immediately and order appetizers. The waiter turns to us. We decide to share a bottle of Oregon Pinot Noir and order dinner later. He brings the wine along with a basket of crusty bread and 2 small white plates. He fills our wine glasses. You look just like your photo, she says. I smile. Who doesn't? Who does? She shakes her head, laughs, and tells me about her online dating misadventures. It's a long, funny string of disappointments, and she doesn't leave out the disappointed either. How about you, she says. You are my first internet date, I say. Beginner's luck. No, she says. How do you meet anyone? My sister, I say. My sister fixes me up. She starts to laugh. I like how she chuckles and how her whole face just lights up with the absurdity of a guy my age getting fixed up by his sister. How's that working out, she says. Not great so far, I say. She works for the county coroner. So do most of her friends. Now, I'm laughing too. I tell her about Natalie, her divorce, how I happen to be living with her. I tell her about Seth, what a great kid he is. She listens, occasionally breaking off and eating a small piece of bread. I feel like I've known you a long time, she says. Yeah, we finish the rest of the bottle. She sips, twirls the glass in her hand, sets it aside, and leans forward, smiling. I reach to touch her hand. Shall we order, I say? She shakes her head. No games, right? Right, I say. She strokes the warm, peachy skin of her chest, twists the thin gold chain she's wearing, slips her fingers beneath the curved, smooth neckline of her shirt. I'm being seduced, I think. And oh yes, I am more than willing. I lean forward and slide my hand along her bare forearm. My eyes are locked on hers, so I really don't see the movement, the little flip and scooping motion of her hand. She leans back away from me, runs her palms over her breasts, and lets her hands come to rest in her lap. The right side of her shirt is wrinkled and flat. On the white plate between us quivers what looks like a light pink gelatin pudding, a soft mound with a pale red nipple on top. At the next table, there's the clink and rattle of cups being set down hard. Now you, she says, your turn. She leans forward and nods her head toward my left arm. She rests her elbows on the table, her chin in both hands. Her fingers frame her face. I like the way she looks, especially the gleaming double dare in her eyes. I lift my left arm onto the table with my right. I unbutton the left cup and top buttons of my shirt, reach inside and unstrap the harness. Then slowly, like a magician's silk scarves, I draw the arm out of the sleeve. The shoulder cuff pops loose. The straps trail and clatter on the marble tabletop. I stretch the arm across the table toward her, and she's smiling, her eyes watching that hand. When the arm's completely out, all the way across the table, I push the silicone fingers and thumb together and gently grip her arm. My empty sleeve lies wrinkled and flat. At the table next to us, glassware clashes to the floor. She covers my cool silicone hand with her real one. That's good, she says. That's really, really good. The silvery city fog glows outside her apartment window. In her bed, she moves against me to fit the place where her breast used to be into the place where my arm used to be. Ridges of scars, truncated and bunched muscle, little islands of maroon fat pressed together, seal and cling with a sigh. Tell me, she says. And I tell her the one about the motorcycle accident. When I finished, I say, what about you? Oh, me, she says. Surfing accident, shark bit it off. No shit, really? I jerk away, our bodies separate with a little tug of skin. Of course not, she says, and pulls me back to her. Now tell me what happened, she says. It's so stupid, I say. I laid the palm of my hand on the seam where our flesh joins, and I tell her the story of a careless 18-year-old, a neglected wire cut, a raging infection. No sharks, no blood in the water, no hero. Not a story that would interest a little boy. But complete and true. Well, almost true. True enough.